Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to cruise a little smarter. I am your host, Lake, and I am joined by my co host, Christy. Christy, how are we today?
I am super tired and super pumped about the Olympics, both at the same time. How are you?
I am doing all right, but we are not alone this week. We are joined by our friend Chad. Chad, how are we today?
I am great. I'm excited about the Olympics and the Disney Destiny.
Yes, and that's what we're here to talk about. And I brought on Chad because Chad, when these announcements came out this week, he was like, yes, yes, yes. And he was very into it. And he's got teenagers and he loves Marvel. And I remember before The Wish came out, he tried to talk me into seeing Marvel movies and what order to watch them, which I listened to and thought maybe I would do one day. Haven't watched a one, Chad.
Yet.
We'll put the words in yet, just for Chad. Yet. However, because of my very lack of Marvel knowledge, we had to bring in some assistance.
Happy to help.
Can you guys run with it for just a moment while I fix something on my end?
Yes. So now it means we have to talk, and I wasn't prepared to talk some more right now. Okay. So here's what we're talking about. The Disney Destiny. Destiny is the third Triton class, or some people refer to it still as the Wish class ship in the fleet. It is going to sail, we've just learned, November of 2025. And Disney did this like 3-day presser sort of release. Every day at 10 a.m., they updated their Disney Parks blog, which I totally thought it was going to be like a live thing. And it was, what did you think it was going to be, Chad?
No, it was pretty much what I expected. I thought it would just be kind of a release of different things. I didn't expect any sort of live or announcements or performances or anything like that. But it was pretty much par for what I expected out of them. What I didn't expect was the cool little cartoon videos that kind of came with each day.
Yes.
Which I don't think I've watched them all. I for sure saw the third day. I think I saw the first day. I don't think I saw the second. But clearly they put some thought into kind of how this release was going to go. This was obviously meant to be very separate from whatever it is that they may or may not talk about at D23. So I think D23 is probably meant to be very forward looking, versus this is kind of more in the now because it's already sort of previously been announced through company announcements and whatnot. But yeah, it was kind of what I expected. Now, I will say some of the announcements were not what I expected, and that's what I'm excited to talk about today.
Yeah, and we will definitely go through that. I really think that it's cute. So, one thing, like, are we live to the Patreons? Because I don't see that.
So I just had to post it in the group because the Facebook thing is still being weird.
Oh, onto Patreon itself.
Yeah, so I had to post the YouTube link to it. But we are live on the Patreon page as well.
Okay, so...
And that is up and going.
I will put that here. Okay, you guys can talk for a second then.
Yeah, well, why don't we go ahead and take it back and start from day one, which I think is easily the most underwhelming of the days for us.
Sure was for me.
I disagree. Isn't this where we learned about the Lion King show? This is like the one thing I'm excited about.
We did learn about the Lion King show, which from what it seems will replace the Frozen style dinner show or Coco on the Treasure.
Correct.
The concept art looks to be that same centralized picture with that stage in the center. This looks to be very Lion King Broadway inspired with the costuming and everything, which I am all here for. Also, even like the spires and stuff on the side, or the support structures on the side, look like glowing themes, like animals and stuff on them. So yes, this does look very cool. I think that the other two announcements from this are less than stellar.
Sure, fine. And that's totally fine, but let's not put down my beautiful Lion King show. I'm very excited about that. Like, well, we'll talk more about my opinions later. But this show.
So it seems like it's so whereas I guess we don't necessarily know what the Coco show is going to be, right? But the Arendelle show has sort of a story to it. This seems more like a recap, right? Because they're kind of going through songs that were from the Lion King movie. Is it? Have we heard any more about what that's going to be? No.
Just said on the release, it just says brings iconic songs and legendary moments from the renowned animated classic to life.
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to be like this is what happens after. I think it's going to be like Festival of the Lion King.
Yeah.
But I could totally be wrong. But based on the songs they picked, that would be my guess.
Yeah. So this looks gorgeous. I'll say that my one time that I was in Arendelle, I had an awful table. So hopefully I'll get a better one whenever it is that I get on Destiny to be able to see this. I've actually been hoping for a Lion King stage show for a long time. Although wondering how they would ever pull off like the giraffes that are on stilts, like walking around in a ship that's moving like this. But I think this will be really cool, and excited to see this at some point.
Yeah, definitely the highlight of day one and something to be excited for sure. Other two news from the day one release is we are having a theme shop or a sweet shop. That sweet shop has a theme. Most of us will walk in and go, this is cute. And then most of us will forget about it. But it is themed to the Incredibles. It does look adorable, just as all of the sweet shops do. Their theming is always really awesome. I was almost said really sweet and thought that'd be corny.
See, I would have appreciated that actually.
But yes, this is centered around Incredibles and Edna Mode specifically. Again, I'm sure it will be beautiful. It'll be very nicely themed. It is just not somewhere that I find myself very often on the ship.
I walk by it when I leave Marceline Market or Cabanas on my way out. So I have never one time purchased anything from that store.
I think the name is super clever with the Edna a la mode. But like you guys, I have never spent one dime in any of those sweet shops. There's plenty of included food that I can. So somebody must be spending money. I mean, they keep putting them on the ships. Yeah. Somebody's buying the Tiffany jewelry, and somebody's buying the sweet shops. It ain't me.
Right. That is pretty much. I'm always like, every time I get ready for a cruise, I always tell myself, oh, I should do like the sweet shop. I should pre-order a sundae one night. That'd be really fun. And you're just like,
wait, you have to pre-order it?
Well, you can pre-order it from up there and have it sent to dinner.
What?
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep, you can go up there and you can pre-order your sundae and say, hey, this is, my dining rotation, this is my table, and they will bring it down to you.
Okay. That's cool.
Right. See, it sounds cool, and it's like, oh, it's something I should try, and then I'm always like, oh, well, we've got other desserts I want to try, and
exactly.
Yeah, unlimited ice cream already.
It's $15 instead of the included one that I get at dinner already.
Right.
And then
those little containers are cute though, but
yeah.
The last of the announcements are that there are staterooms on the ship. They exist and they are themed to the Disney Destiny.
Yeah, they also named the dumb coffee shops. The coffee shops are great. They're very conveniently located in the middle of the ships, and they have a theme and a name. I don't understand why that was a part of an announcement. But yes, and then maybe equally the cabins, but they're hero-worthy retreats. See what they did there? From
the only ones they announced themes for, right, were for Concierge. So those are going to be Hercules and Incredibles. or the
Yeah.
sorry, that was just for the upper level suites, I think.
Oh yeah, the royal suites,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So I don't know. Again, with this, like, if you've seen it, the rooms on the Wish, you see the rooms on the Treasure, you're gonna know what these rooms are gonna look like. The picture is gonna change. Maybe the color on the wall is a little bit of a different hue, but not the most exciting part of this announcement. I will note the other little tidbit that we already have discussed and knew was coming was they did mention on the first day that we are sailing out of Fort Lauderdale. We are home ported out of Fort Lauderdale. And I do think that is important to note. Again, we kind of saw it coming. Fort Lauderdale has been incentivizing cruise ships to come and especially do inaugural sailings out of there. They, in the next like year or two, have like 5 or 6 ships starting there inaugurally, which is pretty cool. Obviously, they've updated to LNG to support these ships. And Disney, of course, invested a lot of money in expanding their port situation down there. So they want you to come down and sail out of Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, and Steve posted, I don't know if he did it in the Patreon actually, or maybe he just put it on Threads or something, that they actually did a whole thing today, Fort Lauderdale, Port Everglades, with Disney Cruise Line, like, or I don't know if it was with Disney Cruise Line, but it was like Marvel hammers. You know, those have a different name, but I don't know what they are. But there was like a whole, like, they were playing with toys that were Marvel themed because of the ship.
I'm gonna have to go look for that.
Yeah, I
look
missed
up
that too.
Look up Steve posted it today. This
Okay.
evening, I believe.
Yep. And then that brings us into day 2. We have a little bit of that heroes and villains theme going on where they kind of released it's a lot of kind of villainy, kind of darker themed things in this release. Lots of lounges. Lots of lounges.
Let's start from the bottom and work up from, if you have that.
Yeah. So bottom is again probably the least exciting of what we got going on here. We have the Haunted Mansion bar is coming back. We, of course, have not seen this yet because it is featured on the Treasure, or will be featured on the Treasure. But they announced that that space is going to keep the same theming. We were talking before the show. I think that they are very excited about what they did with this. You know, that is still for us to find out. Hopefully it does knock our socks off and we love it way more than we love what's the Star Wars version? Hyperspace Lounge, which I think left us a little bit underwhelmed. Everything we've seen so far seems like they've really stepped it up. And I think they said, hey, we think this is a winner and let's just order 2 of everything so we can just make it easy.
Yeah, I think that the Hyperspace Lounge underwhelmed a lot of folks. I enjoyed it personally, but can see how it could underwhelm people. And I think that very quickly became something they realized was going to be a one and done for them. So, not knowing yet how this is going to go, this was probably where they were going to hedge their bets versus trying to go back to a Hyperspace Lounge on the ship.
Yeah, it seems like this space was like their creative outlet for like something wild. So it was surprising that they did not try to reinvent it again. Now, I will say once we get into day 3, it seems like the rest of the ship, they kind of went wild, which makes me excited to get into it, but we'll keep going through day 2. We do have a couple more, I would say, smaller detail changes. We have an update to the Aquamouse, which basically is that it's getting its own scene. It is getting a Chernobog inspired scene into it. Again, nothing I would consider super wild, but it is exciting that they are still investing into the Aquamouse. Again, they could have probably pretty easily left it with the 2 shows, but it seems every time we get a new ship, we're getting some sort of updated show. And these shows can also be retroactively put onto the other ships as well, because it is just essentially screen base. So kind of a win-lose there, but yeah, what do you guys think of this?
Oh, you know,
Christy,
Chad,
have
what do
you been on the aqua?
Yes, I have ridden it twice, I believe, once or twice. I must have done that on the preview cruise. And I probably would never ride it again. Water rides are not my thing. We all know that, right? Like, and I wouldn't consider this a water slide. But yeah, so it's okay. This part of
You
the ship
will
is not for Christy.
not find Christy at Summit Plummet.
I don't know what that means.
She's
Oh,
so
at the water
confused right
park?
now. Yes, that's at Blizzard Beach.
You 1000% will not find me at Summit Plummet. Nope.
Chad, any thoughts
yeah.
on Aquamouse show?
I think it's fine. It's one of those things that I've been on a couple times. I don't necessarily need to go again. I had a hard time following the story because there's all these boards. It's like echoey a little bit in there. It's very confusing. And then it's shooting water at you from the sides. I didn't enjoy that. The actual little ride, fun. But I mean, for me, I would do the Aqueduct over the Aquamouse any day.
I have heard that from other people too.
So.
One other thing that we didn't mention is it does look like there will be more interesting, different, related characters walking around the ship. So the press release did say Maleficent, Dr. Facilier, Cruella de Vil, Captain Hook, Mr. Smee, Oogie Boogie. So, and we already usually see Captain Jack Sparrow, but then also Bruno. I don't know what that means. Sorry. And Loki. But Chad, are you proud of me? I got like these names right. Like
You
pronounced
did
them correctly.
Bruno's from Encanto.
I was gonna say, how did you get thrown off by Bruno? There was
all
like
the names, right?
a whole period where that was the only song that children sang for like 2 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I would like to turn it to a piece that I wish we had some concept art for because of the day 2 announcements. I think it is my favorite. Is that the the pub style lounge is basically getting a pirate themed. This is Keg and Compass on the Wish, and it is one of my favorite lounges on that ship. And even though it's not IP themed, it is probably one of the most beautifully themed lounges, and it has like the best innate details and little details that you can find. So I am excited to see if they can bring that into that space there. I mean, I think they can because Keg and Compass was already very nautically themed, and I thought they did that well. So I would love to see them bring kind of just the pirates detail into that style. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if they even take it a little bit further, just because I think let's be honest, they've got to have warehouses of Pirates of the Caribbean themed things at this point. Like, how hard is it for them to pull some extra stuff out and be like, this is going on the Destiny now?
I don't see them pulling anything out of their warehouse to throw on the ship. I think it's all newly created, but we need somebody to give us the answer to that one day.
I just mean like the wealth of Pirates of the Caribbean items. Yeah. Like there is no shortage of pirate inspiration that they can pull from to make this really cool. Chad, do you have any thoughts?
No, I think it's going to be a fun. So like you, that was the Keg and Compass or whatever it's called. Is one of my favorite spots on the ship on the Wish. Really excited about the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea space that's going to be in that same place on the Treasure. So whenever it is that I get on Treasure and Destiny, this will definitely be one of my spots. This is where your sports are going to be. So if you need to go watch a game, this is where you're going to be, which is maybe a little bit weird with the pirates, but we'll make it work.
Yeah, that is actually a good point. I didn't really think about that. That is typically also your sports bar. So probably not going as heavily into the theme if that's the case.
Pirate soccer, pirate baseball, pirate.
I mean, with peg legs, it's going to be an interesting game of soccer.
It just for baseball, they just take their leg off and stand in the batter's box. Take a
Well,
swing.
we have one more announcement from day 2. I think this one is a pretty interesting one. And what's interesting is on the treasure, they waited we just found out what this lounge was going to be on the treasure last month, 2 months ago. And now it's like one of the first lounges they announced.
So this is the Devilish Delights is what they're saying. It's the Cruella DeVille 101 Dalmatians themed piano bar. It is adorable. Do you both think it fits? And I just want people to think we're not like negative on the ship. These two gentlemen are, especially Chad, is such a very excited about it. Clearly,
I think it
is
100% fits. I think it
okay.
fits way more than the Haunted Mansion parlor does. I mean,
Well, sure.
if the ship is about to be heroes and villains, I mean, there's few bigger villains in all of Disney lore than
That's true.
Cruella
It
de Vil,
doesn't
right?
it doesn't have to be all like Marvel-ish themed,
Right.
which I
Yeah.
feel like so much else of the theming of the ship is, unless it's something like Hercules. But okay.
And I think, the theme of the ship is heroes and villains, and the villains part gets a lot of people excited because people have been asking for more
That's true.
villain style theming and content for as long as villains have existed, essentially. So to see a dedicated lounge is pretty cool. I think my only kind of weird critique from this is that it is specifically themed to the 2021 live action, which is solid, but it is kind of, I mean, from the concept art, it doesn't really look like it's that specific to it. Like, I think you could walk in and say 101 Dalmatians and have any version of any of those films in your mind. It is weird that they chose to mention that that is the specific inspiration for it.
Yeah, I thought that it mentioned somewhere, it may not have been in the broad press release, but in a specific article about it, where like some sort of silhouettes of the cartoon version will sort of be showing up kind of in mirrors and things like that throughout the lounge.
Maybe that's in the little cartoon that they released about it.
Yeah, I didn't see that. However, in the concept image behind the piano, there is definitely some sort of screen element, and it looks to have a silhouette on it right now of Cruella.
Yeah, here it is. It says there will even be a glowing fiber optic Cruella that appears and disappears in the wall behind an eye-catching spotted piano.
That would be in line with that concept image.
Oh, pretty cool.
Yeah. This is a cool lounge, though, regardless of what the theming is. It is a little bit small, but we've had some really good times in this lounge.
Yeah, my daughter's a huge Cruella fan, so this was easily her favorite of the announcements.
All right. Well, do we bring it to our final day, which there is a lot going on here. A lot of it is, hey, this is coming. It's the same as The Wish and the Treasure. But then there are some things that are saying, hey, we're doing this, and you would have never guessed in a million years that this is the theming choice we're going with.
Including the lobby statue. I actually, which we'll get to, we'll just, I guess, tease it. I'm sure everybody's seen it by now, but I was getting my hair done, and my hairstylist works at Disney. And I showed her the lobby statue, and she's like, wait, are you kidding? And when she's like, but you're kidding, right? Like, that's not really the lobby statue. And I was like, no, it is. And then I sent a text almost immediately to our the DCL chain text or whatever. And I was like, am I being punked? Because I was like, what? Huh? And so, yes, there were some shocking discoveries, if you ask me, in this release.
Well, why don't we just roll with it since we're already talking about it? They released the concept for the lobby art, and the statue is Black Panther, which, again, total left field. Would have never guessed in a million years. Like even the Wish and the Treasure were a little bit of a departure from what we were used to with the classic style ships. And this one is like its own whole class of, whoa, what's going on here? And honestly, I'm about it. It makes me excited to see them throw some left fielders out here. Like that makes me even more excited to see what else gets revealed about this ship and the theming of it. Because again, this does not feel like a safe Disney bet by any means. Not that it's bad by any means. Like I said, I'm here for it. I love Marvel. Not everyone in this chat is as passionate about Marvel.
I'm happy for all of you that have Marvel. I really am.
Yeah, I heard a couple of days ago that it was there was some sort of a leak that basically said that it was going to be a non-traditional character, which made me really wonder whether it was going to be something, Marvel or Star Wars or something. But to actually see it and get it was still just as shocking to me. When I actually Steve was the first one that texted me about this because I hadn't seen it. I was working this morning, and when I opened up that text, I was absolutely just flabbergasted that they actually went and did it. The lobby itself underwhelms a little bit for me. It's just a little bit bland compared to kind of what we got on the Wish and the Treasure. But it maybe just pops more to the eye than it does in a photo.
Somebody messaged and said, "What's with all the gold?" Because there's so much gold theming. I'm like, they must have had a sale on gold paint or something. Because like I feel like there's a lot of gold in the Treasure, and then even
And
the
the Wish
statue is in gold or whatever. So yeah, maybe there was a big summer blowout with gold.
Another thing that's kind of
cruise money went to.
interesting too is if you look, you can see a little bit, and I don't know if this is truly the concept art for the chandelier above, but it's like this like cool crystalline structure. So it will be interesting though. I could definitely see this being kind of like a color changing bit though, similar to how the Wish is. Everything around that section kind of changes colors depending on the time of day. But I don't know. I like it actually. I like the gold. I mean, it looks a little bit more traditional. I mean, when you think about like even the classic ships, they're very kind of like gold, bronze. So, like I said, I don't dislike it.
Yeah, it looks like kind of along the railings there's some sort of like African tapestry type coloring and stuff there, which I think is really cool. They'll probably tell us that the chandelier is made out of vibranium. Or something like that. Just there'd be some sort of theming to it, but
you were so right.
I think it's cool.
Somebody though, one of our listeners just said that she thinks it looks like Wakanda Hyatt.
It's not inaccurate.
Like just your regular basic hotel.
Well, while we're talking about statues and Marvel, they also announced what the what is this called? The aft statue.
Oh, the Stern.
Stern character. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So this is sticking with the Marvel theme. Also, Spider-Man and his spider bots. You can actually see the spider bots basically painting on the logo, and Spider-Man is swinging through trying to catch them.
Cool that they switched this up to like more of like a web pattern too, versus kind of the usual really I don't know if you call that, right? But it's more like a web kind of like Spider-Man. So it's completely out of, again, this is like one of those things where it came completely out of left field compared to what you usually get on a Disney ship, which I think is really cool.
So these releases came out today, and in our Patreon group, we have chats to discuss the changes, right? So if people want to look into Patreon, they can do that at patreon.com/DCL podcast. And one of our Patreons, Dennis, says, what was his words? Christy's going to hate this.
He said that was his first thought.
That was his first thought. And yeah, like it's just not my ship, right? But it's definitely not my ship. And also it looks like my son painted those web designs on the back. Okay, but moving on. This is why we have extra people here.
Yeah. Well, they did also, I feel like they kind of snuck this one in, but the lounge that we know as Tiana's Bayou, there's no concept image for this, but this is going to be called the Sanctum, and this is going to be themed to Doctor Strange, which definitely could be really cool. If you've watched the Doctor Strange movies, there's a lot of very like trippy kind of style in that movie when they're doing all of the like portals and stuff. So I could be about this. I like Doctor Strange, and I'm excited to see what they get, where they go with this one.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Doctor Strange, and the Sanctum Santorums are there's what 5 of them throughout the globe. There's actually what is it on the Dream or the Fantasy? I can't remember. That has the Avengers Kids Club stuff where they've got an area in there that's got the windows to different parts of the world. So I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with this. It's a little bit weird that it's in that open space where the bayou and stuff is. I think it'd be cooler if it was more enclosed, but we'll see. Who knows how they may reformat the ship too by the time you kind of get past the treasure and then into the Destiny.
I don't see a reformatting happening.
Well, maybe not reformatting, but like closing more of it off a little bit, right? Just stuff like that,
or changing it in some, changing it, like adding a wall or something.
Yeah,
we'll see. I don't understand one word of what you said about this movie, and I don't know what a Doctor Strange is, but
they so part of that, right? When you've got these the Sanctum Sanctorum, where you can sort of look in, basically it's like a window, and you can pass through to other places. I've seen them in the Wish, like using that space for like art classes and things like that, where they're using those screens so that those might get repurposed for other activities throughout the day, but then maybe it becomes more of an adult space at night. Interesting to see where that goes. But like, Doctor Strange is one of my favorite Marvel characters, so I was surprised to see it, but thrilled as well.
I'm here for it. But we do have, actually, we have a little bit more Marvel news, but the last new thing and new Marvel news is that they did announce the theming to the Tower Suite. The Destiny Tower Suite is basically Tony Stark's Hyatt, is kind of what this looks like.
It's like mid-century modern. I don't know. It's like, I feel like a style everybody's going with. It's kind of cool.
It looks nice. I just don't know that I see the Tony Stark Marvel theme. Like, I feel like you would have more of that, like, blue glowing, like, arc reactor style. Like, I want to see some, like, Iron Man masks on the wall. I don't know. This just seems modern.
It looks like what I'd find at a local furniture store.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. It's like a demo that might be at IKEA.
Right.
But
yeah, I don't know.
I think my cousin has half of this furniture in her house.
Yeah. But you're right. I don't see any touches in here that say Tony Stark.
You know what though? I think so. I lied. I have seen a Marvel something. The Lego Marvel movie. I've watched.
I don't think I've seen that. I will have to watch it at some point.
It used to be on Disney Now, and Blake just said today it is not, because we've been talking about Marvel, and then Dave started rewatching Marvel. And so Blake was going to watch that because for him, he feels like that's a suitable Marvel. And was it in there? Tony Stark's living room is very bare. So they did it. They did it just like that. Oh, Dennis has shown up in the chat. He's loving the Stern character. I was wondering where you were, Dennis. You're always good for a good chat comment. And he loves the idea of Sanctum Santorum Lounge. It's a tongue twister for people who aren't in the know. And then Derry has shown up as well and said that it's fairly masculine design direction throughout. It's a great contrast to the Wish with feminine overtones. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, good point. I mean, that makes sense. I feel like the treasure kind of meets you in the middle.
Right.
Which is kind of cool that we can say, we've got kind of 3 distinct directions. Not necessarily that we are gendering the ships by any means, but they are very, the Wish is very princessy. This one is very Marvel-y right now, and then the Treasure kind of sits right in the middle as for theming.
Speaking of Marvel-y, let's talk about the show or the shows that they've announced, which aren't Marvel-y at all. And so it's perplexing to me. So the one show is Seize the Adventure, which I did indicate to the Patreon group that it's like the happiest little tiny musical ever, and that it should be on every ship to ever sail for Disney Cruise Line. It's just joyful. It's a joyful, amazing 30 minutes.
It's a great kickoff show.
Yes. The second show is Frozen, a musical spectacular. And I was like, did I read that right? Is that Frozen? Like Frozen
Again.
from the fantasy and Frozen from the wonder?
Not even
Yeah.
Frozen 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Correct.
Yeah, it's weird
Game
that
Frozen.
the first two ships have both gotten their own exclusive show.
Which this will have. The third show will be an exclusive show. Like, I'm saying it here. It will have it. But
Derry says they should have used Roger the musical, which I agree with. That would have been absolutely hype.
that
For those
they
that don't know, that is basically a Captain America Avengers themed musical that started
they
as a
will.
joke on the show Hawkeye and then became real life at California Adventure for a
Yeah.
short period of time.
yeah, like a month or something. If that.
Yeah, it was short.
Maybe they will. What else do
Maybe,
you
right?
think?
Because so
Speculate.
it's going to sail 4 and 5 nights, right? So there's likely to be one more show.
Yep.
So they're obviously keeping something back at this point. The question is, what might that be?
If they bring back like Beauty and the Beast, I'm gonna riot.
The hot rumor was it was going to be a Hercules show,
Right.
I was gonna say Hercules is what I would be hyped for.
Yeah.
That was the hot rumor. But to have
it-
Frozen for the third time, it's. I
So
mean,
it's just another
might as well put
like,
Aladdin on again. I mean, why not?
right.
It's becoming the new Aladdin.
For real, right?
I mean, I guess they just at this point, if they want a third show and they don't want to do another of their older variety styles, Frozen and Aladdin are tried and true.
They
People
need
love
to
those
bring
franchises.
back something, like some things
This
from the
this
past.
should have been Villains Tonight. Rehash
Yes.
Villains Tonight.
So yeah, Derry said Frozen isn't a great fit. She agrees. Dennis thinks it might still be Hercules. And it might be. Because they like quote Hercules a lot as the like style of the ship. And besides like concierge rooms having a Hercules picture in it or something, what like exists that is Hercules? Am I missing something?
Were a couple of those coffee bars themed to that?
Yes, there
Oh.
is a Hercules themed coffee bar and then the staterooms.
Yeah. But that would be like saying the Wish was Moana themed because there was like a stateroom picture. I don't even know if there's a stateroom picture, and there's Hey Hey in the coffee bar. Is it?
Hey Hey Cafe. Oh,
Is
that's on the
second one.
treasure.
That's on the treasure. Okay.
It's on the treasure. And then Moana is themed in the Cove Cafe on the Wish.
Yeah. Okay. Have I ever been in the Cove Cafe on the Wish?
I spent about 6 seconds in there.
I've been there a
I-
couple times.
Yeah. And
I
then
don't-
we always got our coffee at the other places, the
Right,
the Enchanted Sword.
They
or
are
the
more
the more convenient
accessible.
places. Yeah.
I mean,
I've
most of the
been, like-
time they're like on your deck or down one level,
Right.
Right.
which is good. I mean, that was a good addition, especially
Oh.
since the Cove is pretty far off.
You need to journey like Moana to get there, which is appropriately themed.
For
Like
real.
across the sea to get to it.
Yeah, I feel like because of that, though, there's usually not a ton of people in there. like you sometimes find on some of the other ships where it's more central and also one of your only options.
Very true.
Dennis said Hercules is getting too much attention on the ship to be one of the coffee bars. I agree.
Well, do we want to move into some of this little news? I think almost everything we have to talk about here is repeat. Do you want me to just kind of run
Yes.
through this? We'll get this out of the way.
Yes, but we'll talk about 1923 after you do all the repeats.
Okay, so Worlds of Marvel coming back as a dining option. It is going to feature the same shows on the Treasure. You've got the classic Ant-Man Marvel one, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy Groot and Rocket one is also making a return, which will debut on the Treasure, which I think is the one of the two that will be more well loved once we see what it's got. But you can't go wrong with all of the classic pop music out of Guardians of the Galaxy and Baby Groot. Items like Rockin' Parlay Parties coming back. Hero Zone will be featured on the ship. Disney Uncharted Adventure. The cinemas are still Wonderland and Neverland cinemas, so they will probably be themed exactly the same, which is fine. You're in a dark room. Doesn't matter too much anyways. Adult exclusive escapes. We are getting Palo and Enchante. Does not look like too much is changing there. It does look like the Rose is remaining as the lounge outside of there. I am surprised that they have not tried to do anything even a little bit different. I understand that it does tie in with the Enchante theming, but like, I don't know. I guess to me, like, the Rose is cool. It's a beautiful lounge, but you could have even like changed the style of flower just to make it different on each of the ships.
Right. Like they could have definitely come up with something for that.
But again, I understand that it ties into the theming that they are sticking with for Palo and Enchante.
They could have used the Black Panther herb.
That would have been cool. Like it would glow.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like you could have picked.
No idea what we're talking about.
Like you could be making up words. Like you guys could be in it together, saying we're gonna see what Christy agrees to, and just lie to her about things that exist in these movies.
Yes, the adamantium cake will be like Christy's favorite item. But Untangled Salon, Hook's Barbery making a return. Senses Spa looks to still be Senses Spa. What else do we got here? Mickey's and Friends District, which will include our favorite deck food. All seems to be pretty similar to what we would expect on the Wish. Water Wonderland, which is Pixar Toy Story themed. Splash Zone. That is what it is on the Wish, right? Toy Story?
Yes.
Or is it? Okay. Quiet Cove Adult Lounge looks to be pretty much the same. Kids clubs, they did highlight the new ages on there. So the Oceaneers Club, it is all from the list, is all the same themed spaces that we've seen on the Wish. Small World Nursery looks to be themed the same. I don't know what the theme of the edge is on the Wish or the Treasure, but it looks like they are highlighting that it's got a New York City loft vibe.
It's the same.
I
okay.
Argue
I just would not know.
Yeah, my kids have been through there. It's faux brick and it's the same. I think Nova's gonna be thrilled that the Dino District lives.
Oh, that was a part of a text chain today.
Long live the Dino District. But that about cuts us out, except Christy, you wanted to circle back to 1923, which does look like it's getting some concept changes, I would say. It's not a total theme change by any means.
No, it's still 1923. But so 1923 on the Wish has like window cutouts or like cabinet displays of each of the movies, many of the Disney movies. Like, how would you describe it? Like their photo boards and their concept art for either the characters or the design elements. And so on this ship, they're going to have We're back to Hercules again, and then Sleeping Beauty, Big Hero 6, Wreck-It Ralph, and more. And so I just think I like the idea that we can walk around, and now we need to look at the treasure to see if they said that they were going to have a different like cabinet theme, if you will. Like, are they going to put different movies and characters in those, or will they be the same as the Wish? And it might be the same just because it's difficult to redesign something like that from a first and second ship, but maybe not. And I just love it because every time in any different seat that you have in there, you'll be staring at a different, anytime you're in that restaurant, a different concept art for whatever movie or character they're showcasing. And it's like you get to be in the mind of the creators, and I love that.
Yeah, I really wish and maybe it is, and I just wasn't paying enough attention, or maybe it's open now and it wasn't then. But I would love, like in the middle of the day, just let me walk through there and take a look at these things, because there's so much cool stuff. Like you get to do that on the outside, where they've got some artifacts and stuff about the ship. But I would love just to stroll through there and spend an hour in there, just kind of being able to look at everything.
Yeah, it is pretty cool when you sneak in there and can spend some time looking at all the art. Not saying that from experience or anything, but from experience. But yeah, so that really takes us out for all of the announced news from the treasure. We do just have one more topic to discuss here, and that is when you can book this ship and when the ship is sailing. So it does look like on par with, actually a little bit earlier than the treasure, right? Is that these sailings are going to be beginning in November of 2025. So next year, it is going to be embarking out of Port Everglades and Fort Lauderdale, as we discussed, mostly 4 and 5 night sailings for its inaugural season. It will have varying stops at one or both of Disney's private islands, so either Castaway Cay or Lookout Cay. And we can begin booking these for, is this Pearl starts September 6th?
Correct.
Do you have
Which is pushed back because Disney originally announced that it was going to bookings for this ship. This was like 2 weeks ago or something. Bookings for this ship were going to begin like August 9th. I don't know if it was the 9th, but it's whatever Monday.
Typically, it's a week after this announcement.
Right. And so I was all ready to set up for bookings, and they've pushed it to September. So September 6th is like a Thursday or Friday, which is also interesting. And then it's opening up to the public on the 12th. So it'll go through the Castaway Club levels, and you can book it each day there. We don't know yet when the first sailing will be in November, but it'll be in November. I'll be curious, like, I would assume it's not going to be Thanksgiving, but I would never in a million years have thought that the treasure would have had her first cruise be over the week of Christmas. So, Disney likes to surprise us.
Yeah, there is a link on the Disney Parks blog that's supposed to take you to the inaugural season schedule. It just takes you to the DCL website right now. It does not link you anywhere special. But probably once that is all loaded into the system, you'll be able to click that, and we will see when the inaugural season is, as well as what those varying sailings are. Not going to lie, a double dip to Castaway and Lookout would be pretty sweet to get on one of these ships, especially with a 5-night where you could maybe get a day or two at sea with that. And of course, you'll get your lovely stop in Nassau.
Yeah. There will be some cruises going to the Western Caribbean. So Mexico or the Caymans, just like the Dream is doing right now.
It does in fact say that, and I missed that.
That's okay.
They got a fancy new water park coming to the Nassau cruise port, so who knows?
Yeah, but no, is it? Wait, who?
Not just the Royal. That's different. So that Royal Caribbean is building a private thing there, but they announced a couple of weeks ago that they're going to invest a ton of money into building their own water park there. So Christy probably won't be there again, as we established earlier in this show.
I may go and look at it. So far, my son isn't that interested in water activities either. Like, he likes the younger children slides, but that's about it so far. So until he desires more, it works for me.
I'm sure it's going to have cool slides. I'll still stay on the ship.
Yeah, I'm about on the same, especially when you have a fancy new ship to explore and more to do than you can possibly get done on even 4 or 5 night sailings, quite frankly.
Definitely.
The chat is all trying to get me to watch a Marvel movie again and decide when I'm going to sail on this. So we'll see. We'll see. But we are 1 minute into the Olympics primetime coverage. And so with that, I think we have to go now.
All right. Well, I guess that is as good a place as any to take us out. Chad,
Go
thank
Team
you so
USA.
much for joining us and chatting about the Disney Destiny.
Yes.
My pleasure. Great to be with you guys.
Yeah, I really do appreciate it. Like, I literally messaged him from the hair salon and was like, can you please come and save me tonight?
Listen, I love it. This is not, as we talked about, this is not your grandpappy's Disney ship.
No.
Very different. They took a big left turn today, and I'm here for it. This is fun.
I'm here for it too, because they could have easily copied and pasted and we would have been sitting here talking all excited, and it's more exciting to be surprised. For sure. But I think that is going to do it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you joined us live with our Patreons, and for those that listen, thank you as well. And we will see you next time on the DCL podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.